Hi there, my name is Christine. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And I want to show you how to make this adorable little box. We are going to make a different color scheme with it, but it's a little matchbox style box. So I'm going to show you the whole process so that you can see how easy it would be to scale this to the size that you need. So for this one, I started off with this little antibacterial soap. So I've put it in the center of my grid paper. So I want it to be 3 inches long and 2 inches wide. I also needed to have a side, right? So I went with 1.5 inches on that. So again, I've built out 1.5 inches all the way around because it's a box, so you need it to be uniform. So once I had, used my ruler and pencil and sketched out the size, I knew that I needed a 6-inch long piece by 5 inches wide. I was able to measure all that out, and it just helps you to kind of see what you need. So if I wanted the box to be wider, longer, flatter, whatever, it's just a matter of playing with these dimensions. So I'll show you what I mean. If you're anything like me, you learn a lot better by seeing. So I'm going to start off with a card base of, cardstock, real red, which I'm going to cut. I'm going to start with my 5-inch cut, and that is only so that I am using as little as the paper as I need, and that still leaves me with a piece big enough to make a card if I wish. So that is my 5-inch cut. Now I need a 6-inch on that, and that piece is just left over. So this is the bottom of our box essentially. So I need to have a 1-inch border all the way around, right? So I'm just lining it up. I've got on my paper cutter, I can see the 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch on this side as well as on this side. So lining it up with that, and I've got my scoring tool here. I'm carefully put my blade out of reach. So that is one. And then I'm going to just rotate this piece of paper and cut at the 1.5 inch, sorry, all the way around. And I'm scoring, not cutting. I think I might have said that wrong. All right. So that's step one. So let's do the bottom, and then I'll come back and do the top part because I find it easier that way to be able to measure things out. So I am going to cut along the long edge on my score lines. And I'm only cutting until that center score line. I shouldn't call it center, but the bottom third. So I'm doing that on both sides. Then I'm going to flip it, and again, only on the long edge am I cutting along the score lines and just to that bottom third. So essentially where it meets the other score line. Now I want the box to fold really nicely. So I'm going to help myself out by notching, which if you're not sure what notching is, I'm just basically cutting out little triangles along the outside corners. So I want it to meet at that score line. And that's just going to help those edges be nice and flush. So I'm only doing the outside 4 lines. And you can measure this if you're more comfortable that way. I am just eyeballing it. And I think those are fairly uniform actually. All right, once you've cut it out, I'm going to fold my paper along those score lines. So again, this is going to be the base of our little box. And then we're going to fold those two. And just to give you an idea, we're going to end up folding in, these are the ends. That comes in that way. And we've got our sides. So the reason that we notched those other ones is so that this is nice and flush and you don't have bits of cardboard sticking up. So to glue that together, I'm just turning it inside so that this is the outside of our box. I'm going to use my liquid glue. If you do want to use your liquid glue, just try to have enough that it's going to really stick, but not so much just that you're going to have some oozing out. Some people prefer to use, you know, a drier glue for this to avoid mess, and that's fine. Just make sure you're going to use something strong enough that it will bond. There we go. So now for the assembly, I'm pinching that side and bringing it in. Just bringing up one side. I like to do kind of front or back, whatever this is going to turn out to be, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. So pinching and coming in. And closing that up. So this is the bottom of our box. So you could, if you wanted to, make a little finger hole. Not necessary. I have done that with this one. I just used a circle punch that I have, an old one, and cut out a semicircle there. All right, so that's the bottom. Now we need the top. So I'm going to pull in some designer series paper here. I've already cut my piece. So I want it to be 3 inches wide, right? Because it's going to cover our box this way. And we need 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 1/2 inch, but then we also need another 2 inches, right? Because it goes all the way around. So that's what I've done here. Now, this is the only slightly tricky part to me, is that when you're measuring out the paper, I'm actually going to start with a sort of random, I'm putting my blade far away. I am just going to start with, I guess this is a 3/4 inch score. Now, oh, this paper is a little bit tricky because it's all lines and it's hard to see. So I need to have, let's see, 2 inches. But I want it to be 2 inches and a 1/16, just so that when I'm wrapping around the bottom of my box, it all fits. Now we're going to take this line and make it 1.5 inches plus a 1/16. So I'm just edging it over a tiny bit. And again, that's just so that I have a little bit of space. So for this one, we're going to go to the 2 inch plus a 1/16. There we go. So that should do it. So I'm just going to fold this along its score lines. Hopefully I've done this right. Now let's test it out. It doesn't seem right. And it is not right. What have I done? Oh, you know what it is? I need to make one more along the 2. I missed one. So, simple fix. I'm going to do this one at the 2 mark plus a 1/16. Not with the cutting blade, but with the scoring blade. Okay, I hope this will work. So I have an extra fold here that I shouldn't have, I think. Let's just, again, test this out. It's not an exact science. And there we go. So ideally, it would come together on the bottom, but that's not what's happening here. All right, that's okay. Because it's stripes, it's really not going to show. So what I should have done is started my fold at the 1.5 mark and just followed it through, but I didn't do that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue here. Now I find the best way to ensure that it's going to fit your box perfectly is to wrap it. I'm not wrapping super tight because I want to be able to easily slide this on and off, right? There we go. So that actually works out really well with my striped pattern, but normally you would do your first score mark at 1.5 plus a 16th, and then go 2 plus a 16th, 1.5 plus a 16th, 2 plus a 16th, and that should leave you just about a 1/2 inch that you would then be able to glue. And this worked out, couldn't have been better because of my stripes. So we'll just proceed. We'll pretend that was planned. So I am using the Perfectly Plaid stamp set for my sentiment, and I'm using the Tree Punch. Once upon a day when they were released, they were a bundled item, but now they are available as separate pieces. So I'm just going to punch out a tree. The white piece over here I have cut out with the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And before I put the tree on here, I'm actually going to do my sentiment. So I'm using the Ho 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 stamp, and I will use Old Olive. So tap, tap, tap. This is a piece of paper that I've already measured out. I usually work strictly in Imperial, but this is actually an exact centimeter, so it's probably, what, 5/8 of an inch, perhaps? Something like that. So I'm just going to trim the edges on that to have it closer to the letters and not overhanging the tree too much. There we go. So I'm going to put dimensionals behind that to pop it up on our tree. So the dimensionals are the foam bits, and I'm just trimming it to the size I need. I want to put that across the front. One thing that's neat with working on grid paper is you can really see your lines and make sure that things are nice and straight. I tend to do it for the trickier things. And to further add dimension, and since I'm not worried about putting this cute little matchbox in the post, I can add more dimensionals. And that's that. So that's the front. I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back of that. If you're ever working with stitch dies, try not to get the glue too well on top of the stitching, because what happens is it'll bleed through. So I want my box to be open for this, but not completely so. This helps me to position it. And since I've got it open, I can stick my fingers underneath and make sure that's nice and solid. So that's our little matchbox for our little, so I've been making quite a few of these because it's fun. So this one I went, non-traditional with the colors, but the exact same layout. I've made one with my fun little penguin, which I love, and this one I made with the Penguin Playmates Designer Series paper. So they're really cute little gift packages, and I don't know if I mentioned the size of the band is essentially, in case you're taking notes and want to try this, it was 3 by 7 5/8, which allows you to have enough space to do that fold at the 1.5 plus a 16th and 2 plus a 16th. So that is the size of that one. So I hope you like this. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. And please subscribe to my channel to see more of these videos.